here present. Good?
Yeah.
First and foremost, thanks to the fans who traveled down to Athens this past weekend. We had a nice little contingent of blue and gold in the crowd. Really a fun and entertaining MAC game that kind of is indicative of the league. And on any given Sunday, you're going to get a great contest, kids competing their tails off. Nathan Rourke showed why he's been a mainstay in this league and as dynamic as he was. We did some things to commit and limit the run game, and he has really developed himself as a passer, and their wide receivers did a really good job getting open. One of those games where it was back and forth with points. We kind of got our serve broke there in the third quarter a little bit, and was chasing from there on out. But some really positive things that we can build upon. The offensive efficiency was really good. Special teams showed up in a big time way. We did a good job defensively when we were locked in and really focused and great attention to detail. Obviously, that needs to be crisper across the board, and that needs to start during the week of preparation, as we talked about yesterday. As a family, excited to come back home this week. Very talented Miami of Ohio team that is really starting to hit their stride. Young quarterbacks starting to develop, really fast and physical on defense, and one of the most dynamic returners in the return game and in the special teams phase. So need everyone to come out and support the team this week. Need to pack dicks. Looking forward to a great environment there, being back home and playing for a really meaningful game here late in October.
You haven't really given up many long passes. I looked it up, maybe two before that.
Mhm.
Hit you a couple times. You said you committed a lot to the run. Is that kind of what happened there?
Yeah, I mean, not so much mix-ups or breakdowns. It was just a matter of we knew on early down and distance that their demeanor, their characteristics, the defining traits of who they were, they force you to commit numbers because of how sound they are running the football, what they do in the option game, and you got to hold up in the back end, So they got some good players, some wide receivers that stepped up, and we got some really good players in the back end that just got caught a couple times. And when you get caught on that side of the ball, it ends up resulting in points in that way. And it's one of those games where the football gods kind of found those guys that got free. So again, we just need to do a great job communicating, be locked into our attention to detail, because we had some really good players in some really good positions where we're just a half yard off here or there in some of those situations where we can get off the field, we can get stops and do what we need to do. And our guys saw that, they recognized that, and the staff did a good job of making those necessary adjustments as we went. We just got to be cleaner and tighter to the plan and execute when the moment and the family needs us to do so.
About rush defense wise, I mean, you said afterwards you thought it was pretty solid. The numbers were still pretty decent on their part. I know your 3 wins, your rush defense has been really solid.
Yep.
4 losses, not so much. Is that
Sure. I mean, indicative to our plan to win, right? I mean, first and foremost, you got to give yourself to do so by not hurting yourself, and then finding a way to run the football and stopping the run so that they don't become multidimensional. And so, first half I thought we were really solid. Second half we made some adjustments. They got back to their rush game. So it's just kind of the flow of the game, right? And again, there's enough plays to be had out there that we need to just, again, tighten up. I think it's more of a level of focus. It's an attention to detail type thing. It's not a effort or want to type thing at all. So the kids are doing the things that we're asking them to do. We just need to tighten up and do it with a greater level of detail as we go forward with it. And again, it's one of those things where the offense had the capabilities to score every single time that they had the football. And we need to do those things when the game warrants that, because I know there's going to be a game here in November at some point in time that's going to be really meaningful. The weather is probably going to change a little bit, and the defense is going to show up in a big-time way. And if we need them to, limit an opponent to, single digits, I know that they'll respond if we're struggling offensively or vice versa. And that's how you have a good, complete team that, regardless of what's needed on the day, you find a way to win and score one more point than the opposition.
It seems like every week Dustin is just improving and having a best game of his career every single week. What does that improvement look like to you guys, and what are some things that you think can still go up for him?
Yeah, I mean, he does a really good job overcoming some bad coaching, I mean, he's doing a great job taking strides in that regard. We try and keep it as simple for him as possible. And again, I feel like I say this every single week, but it's just a byproduct of his process, and that's not coach speak, to where he has a routine that he follows every single week so that he knows his opponent, he knows the plan. So very rarely do you see him kind of get caught or get surprised or make a bad decision. And the result of that is the production that he has. He's able to do some things through the air, very efficient yet again. And I think some of the things that don't show up on the stat sheet, 2 of his incompletions were 2 of the best plays that he made all day. We threw a little tight end delay screen that he threw away because the corner snuffed it out. And again, that's an incompletion on the stat sheet, but it's a huge play because we don't take a sack. There's there's no negative play that comes of it. And then late in the game, when we get the ball back and we got to go in, our speed ball tempo and really go, they play a drop 8 coverage, which they hadn't shown all day, and they drop a DN underneath our single receiver, and he comes back, and instead of panicking and again taking a sack, he's like, okay, it's first down, throws it away, let's play second down, and we go down and score. So it's just those headsy plays and understanding that he lets the game come to him, he takes what the defense gives him, and if you do that consistently enough, you're going to have some good results.
You guys ever get concerned about the kind of hits he opens himself up to when he leads the team in rushing attempts?
No, I mean, because again, he does a good job taking care of himself. He knows, like there was a scramble on third down where he came up a little bit short, which led us into a 4th and short situation that we were able to go for and ultimately convert that led to a touchdown. He lowered his shoulder on that one, but a lot of the other ones, he's doing a great job diving for daylight, getting down. So they look a lot nastier than they are. He refuses to wear tights, so when he slides, his shins bleed. So he looks like this gritty throwback player when, put a pair of tights on and he'll be okay. Well, I'm his position coach, so he's overcoming some bad coaching.
How about as you come out of that game now? Obviously, you wanted to win the game, obviously, but how does it feel to once you kind of step back a little bit, to be able to get in a bit of a shootout with a team like that, go down the field with them, have a chance at the end?
Yeah. I think the offense really gets confidence out of that. At no point in time when you're in the boundary there, it's already started to drive. The kids know and they expect to go down and get points. And so to have that confidence, especially where we started and where things were offensively, for these kids to have something that they can hold on to, believe in, and know that it's theirs and they've created it their own because it's a unique way that we're going about it this year with the pieces that are involved. And for us to have a day where, Mike Kerrigan gets 2 touchdowns and KP shows up in a big-time way, and then you're still able to balance things to where even though Crum's the leading rusher, you're still run pass efficiency and the number of touches and the way the ball's getting distributed, you're able to keep everyone involved. For a guy like Ray James, who's a snap away, and when, Mike kind of hyperextends his knee, he's next man up, we don't lose a beat, he does his job, and is able to get a big-time catch and score to tie the game up there at 31, that just shows how everyone's invested, and they know that at any point in time they can be the man that's on the field, whether it's the moving pieces that are in the O-line, the numerous backs that we've played, the numerous wide receivers that we've played. Guys are buying into improving daily, and then when their number's called, they're showing up and they're performing regardless of how big or small their role is, not just offensively, but in all 3 phases. And if we continue to build that throughout, that's a characteristic of a really good football team. Mm-hmm.
How do you hold up?
He did good. I think he was surprisingly less sore than he thought he was going to be yesterday, but we got to manage that as we go throughout. Warnock was a game-time decision. He felt better, I think, surprisingly, than he thought he was going to feel as well. Monin's nursing an ankle. Everyone's kind of at that point in the season where we've been very fortunate, again, like we've talked about each Monday, to where we haven't sustained any major injuries, but everyone's got an elbow, an ankle, a knee, because of the nature of this league and the physicality of the ball games. We knew that was going to be a very physical, well-coached team. They were. And then you turn on the tape on this morning, or last evening rather, as you start preparing for Miami of Ohio, and they're just as physical, they're just as long, they're just as fast in all 3 phases. And it's like, okay, let's get back to as close to 100% as possible and get the horses to race day, and let's go get it on again.
Think it opens up for you when you have like Dustin throwing for 4 touchdowns? Like, what does it open up for the offense?
I think it's just a matter of how, again, the run and the pass complement one another. The balance and the unselfishness of our offensive skill kids, right? Last week, this time, we're talking about the great job that Mike Kerrigan and the wide receivers are doing blocking. And today we're sitting here, and because of the numbers that Ohio had to commit to the run as well, because of what we had put on tape against the school down the road, now we're able to throw it for 35 times. And everything balances itself up, right? So kind of year in and year out, if you're trained the right way and you're making sound decisions and guys are executing at a high level, the numbers may start out run heavy at the beginning of the season, but then as you put that on tape, teams have to prepare for that, so then the numbers kind of sway back to pass, and you want to be balanced, but ultimately, right, like that fourth and 1 situation, everyone in the stadium knew that we were going to run the ball, and everyone knew that they were going to try to stop the run. And you get extra effort plays from Will Matthews, the old line up front, Dulka, getting his body in position to secure his gap, and everyone pushing the pile. Like at the end of the day, regardless of how you shake it down, you still need to find a way to run the football and stop the run.
And you mentioned everybody's nicked up and stuff. The biggest part of that is obviously the running backs. What's that at right now? What's it going to look like when all the guys come back? Like, is Will earn himself a role consistently, or?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he did that a long time ago, and obviously getting him back was just a matter of where his health was going to be. And he's better. He was better yesterday than he was a week ago. We got to continue to see how Joe Sheem's health comes along. Again, that's a deal that I mentioned after the game, to where those hamstrings, you don't want to rush those back because they can really turn into a lingering deal. I know that we're going to play very meaningful games beyond this week. If he's available and we can use him this week, we'll see how the week goes and how his body responds. Xavier Williams, same deal. He dressed out. He wasn't at a position to where we felt that it was in his best interest to put him out there. So first and foremost, we're going to take care of our kids like they're our own sons. And I watched him go through warm-ups, and as much as he wanted to, it was one of those deals where you're not yourself. So you got to protect a young bull every now and again in that regard. But when we get them all back, we'll have a nice collection of backs that we can utilize, and it again helps distribute the football. It helps balance up the workload so that hopefully all of them can stay healthy as the season goes along, so that we have each of them in the future. But the guys that we have on Saturday, they'll be prepared, they'll be ready, and they'll show up and perform the way that they have, and we'll go from there.
I think, last week Ohio was in the situation where, coming off of a loss at home, that was obviously one of the games they really had to have that game from their perspective. It looks like the scripts kind of flipped a little bit this weekend.
Yep.
Your place, and this is a game that you really need to get.
Yeah, I mean, everything this week, it's single-minded focus for what we need to do to continue to defend our home turf. It's great to be at home. Good teams, defend their home turf, because that ultimately if you can do that, you give yourself a chance later. So right now, it's everything that we need to do. Again, the effort and the attitude to come and prepare to win need to be right. Everyone wants to win this game, but are you going to do the things that winning requires throughout the course of the week? And are you going to show up and prepare to work on a Tuesday, on a Wednesday, on a Thursday, have greater attention to detail all throughout the course of the week, so that when you get to the game, Saturday at 3:30, and hopefully in front of a packed Dick Stadium, you're able to perform and do what needs to be done, because we're going to have a little bit of an extended bye here at the end of this game, and we'll be 2/3 through the season, and then we'll set ourselves up, if we handle business the right way, for what we need to do. But everything is locked into this week and handling our business and defending our home turf. So that's the focus, and it just happens to be because this is the next opponent, and because of our ultimate goal of being undefeated at home when we started this year.
You guys had a couple of drops on Saturday on some significant passes. What's like the conversation that you and other coaches have with guys like McCoy and Mike Kerrigan to keep the confidence in them during the game or after the game?
Pick your head up, you're a dude, we're going to come back to you. You've made that play numerous times. Clear it, let's go forward. I mean, those guys are dynamic playmakers for us, and those are one-off happenings.
A little more specific on when you kind of talked to them a little bit.
Sure.
Physical quarterback and that type of.
Yep.
Maybe a little more depth.
Yeah, the first thing that jumps off, and just kind of going back a year ago, they got 3 out of their 5 offensive linemen returning up front. They were very physical up front and able to control the line of scrimmage. It was one of our games last year where we weren't as stout against the run as we needed to be. So we need to make sure that we limit their run game, right? And they were very, very successful with inside and outside zone last year, so that'll be a major area of focus. Their quarterback, true freshman, is really starting to settle in. They went through a very rigorous non-conference schedule, and you can tell that his confidence, especially with the second half that he played over the weekend against NIU, he's starting to find his groove. They've been down one of their leading wide receivers. He hasn't played the past couple weeks, so again, haven't heard that that's been a season-ending injury. So I imagine at some point in time, like some of our guys, if he comes up, that's only going to help that kid gain even more confidence. They got a dynamic group of tight ends that they do a lot of different things with, and they have some abilities to flex away, be attached, so they get kind of multiple with their formations offensively. Defensively, they do a really good job kind of they're not very reactive. They like to dictate. They like to be aggressive. They kind of force the issue with some of the things that they do. Some of their shell structure in the back end with their safeties is a little bit unique, so they do some good things disguising coverage. So we got to get very specific and kind of drill into those a little bit more. And then again, in teams across the board, because of the years that Coach Martin and his staff have been there, they've done a really good job recruiting. So with the kids who are playing on special teams, there's not much of a drop off on who those characters are, and they got a very dynamic returner that can change the game in a hurry. So all three phases very, very sound. They do an excellent job scheme wise, and it's really kind of case specific to each opponent that they're seeing. So there'll be some things that we know that we'll get on tape, but then there'll be some things that I know that they'll gear up because of who we are and what we do, and we got to do a great job recognizing that. So great challenge at home, and be a great football game for, stay in contention for #1 position in the East.
All right, thanks, guys.
Cool. Appreciate it, guys.